Alright, hey boys, what's up? I hope you guys enjoyed the I'm Alex video that I released, I think a few days ago. I'm recording the voice over before I do any of the editing, so, I don't know when this video is gonna get out. It'll probably be a few days after recording this. It's the 23rd. You guys will know, so yeah, let's just get into some more drama right after making a video about some of the biggest drama this year.
There you are, playing the PvP in your World War II shooter, and all of a sudden, you're a Nazi. You didn't ask for this. You didn't choose this. Yet there it is. And it's treated no differently than playing a British soldier.
You agreed to the possibility of playing one as a German, not a Nazi, as you're never portrayed as playing for the side of the Nazis who fought in World War II. When you click the button to queue up to play multiplayer, you agreed to the possibility of being picked as a German on the German side, as well as being on whatever other side you can play as. As for it being no different than being British, American, and whatever, I don't play Battlefield 5. I don't know the sides in it. I assume the British are in it from what I know, from what I've seen. It's called balance. Imagine if Americans were to get atomic bombs, but no one else does because they're the only ones who had it at that time. It wouldn't be fair if both sides weren't treated completely equal in a shooter. You know? You get what I'm saying? I really hope you do, because I can't say it much simpler than that.
This is bad on so many levels. No one should ever have a random chance of fighting for the Nazis. And we should never express that there's no meaningful difference between Nazis and Allied soldiers, or that they're functionally interchangeable.
No one should have a random chance of fighting for the Nazis. Yeah, you know that relatable moment when you queue up and load in, and all of a sudden you're on the Eastern Front fighting to take Stalingrad from the Soviets? You're not playing as the Nazis. You point out in your response in the comments that your slogan is, because games matter. If games matter in society, then shouldn't they be historically accurate to at least the sides you play for as a tool to teach people about history? And the no difference between the two sides is called balance. Haven't any of your writers ever played a multiplayer shooter ever? Like, come on, guys. I'll address that later. I'm frustrated because I like a lot of their series. They make good content, and then they make this pile of steaming crap. I don't know what to say. Honestly, I'm just disappointed.
And before anyone equivocates and says not all German soldiers in World War II were Nazis, if they were wearing the swastika and are functioning as an arm of the Nazi government, then unless the game goes out of its way to tell you specifically that your particular character is not a Nazi, then they're a Nazi. In that multiplayer shooter, when it switched you to the German side, did it go out of its way to tell you that the person you're playing was pressed into service under threat of their life? Yeah, that's a big ol' nope.
Oh yeah, let's just put in a cutscene or something in a multiplayer game to make sure the player knows that, oh yeah, your specific character right there is not a Nazi. The game doesn't have time for that. It would take too much time. And I'm pretty sure if you look, they don't actually have the swastika armband that you're talking about, that if they have it, that means they're a Nazi. Because people got mad about that, and will get mad about that, so they left it out. The game goes out of its way to make clear that, hey, you're not a Nazi, you're a German. Oh, by the way, we aren't even a minute into this thing yet, so this is quite a wild ride.
Oh, and on a similar note, let's please stop forcing people to play as terrorists as well. There you are, playing your modern shooter, and all of a sudden you're a terrorist. You didn't ask for this, you didn't choose this, and yet second verse, same as the first. There it is.
Playing as a terrorist in a video game does not mean you're the same as some dude making a car bomb in Egypt. It's not like you're giving vocal and unequivocal support for terrorism by playing as a terrorist. People who play these games, even people who don't, understand that just because you're playing on a side that's called terrorist doesn't mean you're a terrorist. The whole point of the game is it's counter-terrorist fighting a terrorist. Does that mean if you play cops and robbers and you're a robber, you're supporting criminals and you're supporting criminal activity? No, it doesn't. It just means you want to have fun with a game where you can be somebody without actually having to go out of your way to be them. It's simple. It's that simple. I swear to God nowadays why is this a problem? Why is this even a problem? I don't know. Honestly, God.
I mean, that's literally the name of your side in the game. We can do better than this. Even if you put aside all of the people who have had traumatic experiences with these groups, who have lost loved ones to terrorists, or who have had generations of their families wiped out by Nazis, no one should have to put on the costume of an ideology they find abhorrent without actually opting into it in your game. And by making people do so, we get them to stop thinking about it, to stop thinking of the meaning behind these things. We normalize them.
Oh my lord, are you fucking dumb? Just because you play as a Nazi doesn't mean that you'll just forget about the Holocaust. Oh, hey Jimmy, what you playing? Oh, nothing, Mom. I'm just a terrorist at CSGO. Oh, good. Now, don't you go around making another 9/11, okay? Huh? What's 9/11? No, Jimmy, no. We normalized terrorism, goddamn. We normalized terrorism, goddammit. I don't know how to normalism. I don't know how to speak English good because I'm a terrorist. Yeah, that's not how stuff works. Just because you don't think about it doesn't mean that it becomes normal and you basically forget how bad it was. It's not like the games are making you flip the switch to gas like 100 Jews at Auschwitz. You're just playing as a German. You know, it's funny you didn't bring this up in Battlefield 1, where you can have the opportunity, without your consent, according to what you believe consent in games is, as an Ottoman who slaughtered 1,000,000 Armenians. You're normalizing the Armenian genocide. Everyone, I repeat, we are now normalizing genocide by playing video games. Fact, because I said so. Do you realize how dumb that sounds? That you're normalizing genocide by playing as a German soldier in a video game? Think about how much of a stretch that is.
We make them just window dressing for entertainment. Those uniforms, those symbols, become things that no longer inherently revolt us. They reduce our visceral reaction to seeing the embodiment of these ideologies. Now, does this make us totally ignore the history that comes with them? No. But for some people, it moves them from the territory of revolting to just edgy. It makes scrawling a swastika on something change from unthinkable to just dangerous. It means you might not take iron crosses all over a website as a warning sign that you should immediately leave, and if you don't leave, you might start reading and buying into hateful ideas there.
The funny thing is, here you show the Iron Cross, which, if you would bother to do research, you would know that it isn't even an actual Nazi symbol. It comes from the 1800s, well before the Nazis were a thing. In most Western countries, you're taught from a young age that the Nazis are about as bad as you could get. You won't just forget that the Nazi swastika is a symbol of something bad and just think of it as a dangerous thing to do in the eyes of your public reputation and the law. I assume that's what they mean. They only say dangerous. You describe that as antisocial personality disorder, which is more commonly known as psychopathy. Killers see the only danger as the law, but they don't see anything emotionally or morally wrong with it. They don't see the problem in them doing it. The only thing they see is, I might get arrested, so I need to not get caught. That's basically what you're describing them doing here. You're equivalating somebody. Yeah, I just said equivalent. Okay. You're making someone playing video games equivalent to a serial killer in how they think. That is ridiculous.
It seems like such a small and simple thing, but it's things like this that erode our safeguards against dangers we sacrifice so much to fight. By the time you've played 100 hours of being a Nazi, their voice stabs become memes and in-jokes with your friends. By the 1,000th time you've respawned as a terrorist, you're either celebrating them or making fun of them. Neither of which helps the global crisis we have that takes thousands of lives every year.
Holy shit. Playing as terrorist 1,000 times doesn't make you a supporter of terrorism out there preaching the name. You're out there singing Al-Qaeda in the streets. Most people are intelligent enough to realize that this is just a game and not something that affects the real world, and that they shouldn't support terrorists just because you play as one. It's like saying if you play as a sports team in a game enough times who you don't care about, you'll eventually become a diehard fan of that sports team. Like, what? That's more reasonable than what you're trying to propose here.
So what do? That's easy. Don't make them morally equivalent. Don't make there be no in-game moral difference between your Nazis and your allies, between your terrorists and your counter-terrorist squads.
How can they be morally equivalent if no morals are involved? Both teams just go out there, kill each other, and then go back to the lobby. It sounds pretty morally equal to me. It's not like there's Nazis gassing Jews in the background of the map while the British are out handing candy to children and helping old ladies across the street. They're pretty morally equal from the standpoint of they're just killing each other. That's all they're doing. You don't really have an argument here, extra credits.
Take one of your non-odious sides and recolor them so that it's red versus blue, rather than Axis versus allies.
Aren't you supposed to be proponents of people learning about history? Like, imagine little Timmy here gets his copy of Battlefield 5, pops it into his PS4, or whatever, loads it up. Welcome to the red team. Isn't the game at least supposed to be historically accurate to at least the size? Come on. This is ridiculous. You can't make a World War II game that's red versus blue. That's not how games work. That's not how game development works. God.
And if you decide that you need to have both sides be playable, don't make them interchangeable. Don't have players randomly spawn in as one or the other. Allow players to choose which side they're on.
You know, I've seen games that do this, and this is where you get 55v13. Especially where you suggest one side that is morally superior to the other. Then again, a lot of people do like to fight for the bad underdog, which is why so many more people play for the Sith and Star Wars The Old Republic, and honestly it's more fun, but that's different. One side will eventually fill up, and people will just be forced to choose the evil fascists and will therefore be normalizing Nazis. Oh no, look, extra credits, your solution backfired. You later propose artificially boosting wait times for the sides that have fewer places, which is ridiculous. And that would be big controversy, that they're artificially boosting wait times. A lot of people would argue that they're trying to make it look like they have more players than they have. And that just wouldn't look good for the company, so they wouldn't do that.
For historical reasons, then your game better actually be historical. You can't really just hide behind the fact you called your desert map El Alamein and say, but it's historical. If that were the case, you need your PvP to at least represent real historical events and be a realistic take on those battles. Once you make both sides balanced, it's also no longer historical. And you can't really say that you need Nazis anymore for historical accuracy. Oh, and once you let players get cool weapons that weren't actually at that particular battleground, it's also no longer historically accurate. And you can't declare that your game will suffer if you don't put players in the jackboots of the Third Reich. And once your map is something carefully designed to have good gameplay by a team in a room in San Francisco or LA, and it's not a faithful reconstruction of the actual places the historical events occurred in, you can no longer say we need to have players take up arms in service of terror or hate.
You know, there's a big difference from a game being historically accurate from the sides being correct to the actual sides that fought in the war, and the fighting mechanics. You're asking for a simulation of World War II. Imagine this. So you're playing your favorite modern shooter game, and you die, and your friend asks, and you say, "Oh man, bro, I died. What happened, bro? Bro, what happened, bro? Bro, my gun jammed, bro." Imagine if you died because your gun jammed, something that is no fault of your own. Historically accurate doesn't mean everything is a one-for-one recreation of how it happened. How it was built. Imagine you're playing on El Alamein, fighting as a British soldier, and you lose because they lost the first battle of El Alamein. It's like getting a phone that's water resistant and expecting it to be fine, throwing it into the ocean 4 miles out from shore. It's ridiculous. If you're asking for this level of historical accuracy, then shouldn't the battles be accurate to who won in multiplayer? Then it doesn't matter which side you pick, right? Because one is better than the other, because one will always win no matter what. Is that what you want? To ruin games? I expected better of you. Oh, man.
shouldn't make games where you play as a Nazi or a terrorist.
That's literally what you said.
But what we are saying is that the fact that you're playing as a Nazi or a terrorist in a game has to mean something. And it can't just be a skin. It can't be something that a game randomly drops you into. And really, if we are saying anything in this episode, it's this. Games can do better. And in this particular case, it's not even that hard to do better. And it's no more costly to do better. All it requires is that we in the game industry be cognizant of the world around us and what these symbols we're drawing on mean. That we think as we're building, not just about the game we're working on, but about the world as a whole. If we can do that, we can take a big step forward for the industry. We can stop helping to normalize Nazis.
Oh, come on. I was starting to agree with you. For just a second there, right until the end when you threw we can stop normalizing Nazis in there. You were starting to have something. And then you blew it. You blew it. Well, wasn't that just great, guys? Honestly, this is one of the worst offenders in this category that I've seen in quite a while, maybe years even. I'm really disappointed because Extra Credits is a really respected channel. They've been around for so long. And they barely got to 2 million. 2.1 million, and they lost 20,000 subscribers with one video. Well, until next time, I'll see you later. And as always, have yourselves a damn good one.